A lot of the complexity of the Bubbles homework has to do with handling asynchronous computation. Now, given that this is the first time you're going through this content, we thought we would simplify the homework and allow you to do it in a synchronous fashion. So this code is going to walk through how you would do that and what packages you would use. I'm here within the homework folder, and I'm going to go ahead and step into starter code, and I'm going to go ahead and pull out exercises.js, and I'm going to walk through what the solution would be. As you can see here at the top of the file, I have three packages that I am going to use. The very first one will allow me to make requests, that is, HTTP requests in a synchronous fashion. The second one will allow me to clean up all of that HTML that we've collected. And the third one allows me to create a document object model, a DOM, from all of that HTML content. The last one is simply the file system utility. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first question. As you can see here, it is simply a listing of all of the addresses of the pages on the catalog. I came up here with a list of 46. There might be a few more or a few less depending on how you are collecting that list. The second question is going to download every single page from that address, from those addresses. As you can see here, I start out by making a call to exercise 1, which is this one. Exercise 1 that returns a list of those URLs. I then loop through those URLs, and here is where I make my requests, but I make them now in a synchronous fashion. Now, after that comes back, I simply write it to the file system, to a folder called catalog. In this case, it'll be this one here. It's empty for now. And then I simply write out the content that has come back. Now, note that the write to the file system is also synchronous. In the third section, in the third question, we're going to concatenate all of those files onto a single one. So as you can see here, I read all of those files that are now in the catalog folder, and I use read file sync. Again, we're using a synchronous function to be able to read those files from the folder. I then write it to a single file that I am appending on each of these iterations, and note that the appending is also done in asynchronous fashion. Now, going on to question 4. In this one, we're cleaning up the content that's come back. We have this mess of HTML, and we want to clean it up so that we can create one long string that we can use to mine or extract information from. So as you can see here, I am using the minify package. I pass in a few options. As you can see here, I am collapsing the white space, minifying the JavaScript and the CSS. And there's one more thing that I'm doing here on line 145. If I have any intermediate single quotes within all this text, my text string will break. So I'm going to run through and remove all of those. Now, once I am done, I then write back out to the file system again in a synchronous function, and I'm going to call that clean file clean.txt. On the next one, I am simply going to start to work with that long string of text. As you can see here, I'm reading in the clean text that I created in the question before. I do that using, once again, asynchronous function. You can see read file sync. And then I use Cheerio to load all of that text into, which gives me the structure that allows me to pull out all of the H3 tags. And I return that as an array, as you can see here. I do the similar thing here for 6, where I am returning the titles, and I then move on to question 7. On question 7, I'm starting to clean up the titles, and so in this case I will be removing punctuation and numbers, and I do that using a map, as you can see, and I return that as an array of words. Let's go ahead and move to question 8. In question 8, I am now creating one single array that will have every word of the ones that are left and that I will use in the subsequent question, question 9, to be able to count the frequency of the occurrence of each of those words. So there you have it, beginning to end, doing the homework questions with synchronous functions. I'm now going to go ahead and run this so you can see it execute, and I'm going to go ahead and pull in the run so you can see what it is that I'm going to be running. As you can see here, it is simply a list of the questions on the exercise file, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 9. And now I'm going to go ahead and run this using Node on the console. So let's go ahead and move to the console. I'm going to go ahead and run, no, not run, but Node, run, and I'm going to go ahead and hit return. As you can see there, we're starting to get some of the feedback. This is going to run slower because it's doing everything in a synchronous fashion, but pretty soon there we'll start to see all of the notices of files being written to the file system. And in a second, I will show you what that looks like for the folder. And you can see here at the very end that there is a long list of all of the words that appear within course titles and the frequency of those words for each of those words. And so some of them will appear quite a bit, like, let's try to find one here that, like corporate, for some reason, is a very popular word, but you can imagine and look through yourself and see what's there. Let me go ahead and show you the file system and move into catalog, and you can see here is all of the content that we pulled. Then there's also the catalog. You can see that that's a bigger file size, and then the clean one. Let me go ahead and show you here the clean one, just so you can see that it's one long text string. You'll see that there is a single number. There's only one line of text, and all of the rest is been scrubbed and cleaned per the functions that I showed you. So with that, I think this should greatly simplify what you have to do. Go ahead and enjoy. As I mentioned in class, this is very representative of working with data and the typical things that you need to do.